Welcome back to my old ranch. Today I'm going to show you videos of going into my 50-year-old chicken coop and basically what has been working for me for 15 years, and I've had good success rate with raising chickens and hatching chickens. Then we're going to go in and I'm going to show you the incubators, and I'm going to show you my first batch of eggs that I'm putting in the incubator along with today, and talk about that briefly. So please stick around and like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next segment. Well, it is feeding time for the little guys, so I'm going to grab some. I've already got some feed over there for them. Grab some scratch, they'll like that. What I got over here is a hanging feeder, and I do that largely to keep the mice out. That'll be enough for the moment. Now, as you notice, I've got several different compartments here, and the center one, I actually have an area here when the babies just come out of the brooder, too big for that, and they need to come outside. Then I'll put them in here with a heat lamp, and they can come and go over there. And then at night I'll close this up so they don't freeze. Because one of the things about little chicks, they can't regulate their body temperature until they're about three months or so old. And so if you bring them out here and do this when it's too cold, they will freeze to death very quickly. Now you see here I have a access right here. That way I can shut them off to just this section of the coop that's covered. Also right here, when they get a little older, I can let them over here, and when summer comes, they can appreciate the shade from this little tree. But I built this, man, I don't even know, 10 years ago at least. And it's still hanging in there, but it definitely needs some help. Now, as I walk over here, you'll see the chickens, roosters are trying to get who they can get. I can't believe how big that rooster is. He's a big guy. Anyways, same thing here. I have this door here so that at night I'll close this door, and the raccoons and everything else can't get in the coop. Also, when it's cold, it will actually help retain the heat inside of this part of the coop. So we come around here, and you see I definitely need to deal with the ceiling. But now it's interesting too, you look, when they first built this, they actually used mud bricks to build the walls, which has been very interesting. And I keep saying I'm going to change all this, but it seems like time just gets away from me. Now I've got little laying boxes. Now, definitely they like it when they have the hay in there far better than when there's not. And then on the floor, and I'm going to explain this in another video, but I actually dump my buckets of my fireplace ash on the floor, and I've learned that that's the best thing I've run across to keep the mites and all down. And I'll explain again in another video of why I do that. So let me grab my pail, and I'm going to gather up the eggs. Now, something I want to explain as to why I'm doing this today in particular. When you are trying to gather the eggs from the chickens, they can handle a little bit of cold, but not a lot. You can actually store them at about between 50 and 60 degrees for up to 2 weeks before you put them in the incubator. But I prefer, because I have a much better hatch success rate, if I can get them the same day that the chickens lay. When the days get colder than 50 degrees during the day, the possibility of the eggs getting too cold and then becoming infertile is much more likely, although I have had some success with that. So I'll gather the eggs, and preferably, if you can get them and they're still a little bit warm, that's ideal. So, but I'm going to gather these eggs, and I'm going to put them in the incubator here in just a bit. And let me gather the others in the other boxes. All right, just about a couple more. They were pretty productive today, which I'm glad to see. And the temperature's pretty decent. Now you see here, also I have a heat lamp. And they like to perch on, some of them perch over by the boxes. Many of them perch right up here near the heat lamp, depending on how cold it is. I need to wash that window so the sun heats this up a bit more. But they're starting to come in for the evening. And by evening, they'll all be in here. One thing about chickens, if you have strays and you want them to be in a particular place, a chicken, it takes about 3 days to get used to where they spend the night. So sometimes after dark, once they've settled in, you go and grab them, because that's when they're easiest to catch, and bring them, put them into the coop or the place that you want them to roost for the night. And typically after 3 nights, they'll return to that spot. Not always, but typically. So just a little note about how to deal with chickens that aren't going where you want them to. Okay, next I'll go inside and I'll show you my incubators. I should also mention before I leave the coop, I'll leave the main gate closed, obviously. Around the outside there's rock and other things, so predators, skunks, foxes, whatever, can't dig through. But you'll see here I have another opening, and I actually had to make it smaller over the years so the dogs can't get through. But what I'll do is I'll close this right here, and it keeps the predators, the skunks, dogs, other animals out of the coop. And also sometimes, like there'll be hawks or other things that you'll see, then I'll want to keep them in the coop until the hawk goes away or something happens there to keep them safer. I just thought I'd mention about the door that I put here, not only on the, oh yeah, I should explain this a little bit more. The coop, the way I have it arranged with several different sections, that way, depending on the age, depending on whether sometimes I get too many roosters, and I'll separate the roosters from the rest of the hens, because too many roosters, they tend to be very hard on the hens. Let me just put it that way. But I call this my courtyard, my inner courtyard, and then I have my different sections that I can open and close them according to what's happening and what I'm trying to do. Well, here I am in my front room, and I wanted to show you at least the first steps of what I'm going to be doing. This is my brooder. This is a homemade incubator, and this is a store-bought incubator. And I'm just going to put the first few eggs tonight and kind of explain to you what I'm going to do. One of the first things that I like to do is when I get the eggs, is I like to put the date on it. So that way I know when it's supposed to hatch. Now, when you put the egg in, you want to make sure that you put the small side down. You don't want the egg, some people say, oh, the eggs roll every which direction. Actually, they don't, because there's an air pocket or an air bag in the top part of it. And when the chick's about ready to hatch, she actually uses that little air bag. And so if you're flipping it upside down and everything, then she may not be in the right position inside the egg to be able to hatch. Now, sorry, my lighting, I didn't get a chance to fix it today, but I will for tomorrow. But just to show you what I do. So here's my incubator. And let me just put the first egg, and then I'll explain the rest. So take this off, put the egg on the rack, small side down. Now, I want to pause it. I'm going to flip the camera around, and I'll show you a little more about the incubator. So you see the incubator here. Of course, I cleaned it out good last time I used it. And on the top, you can see the temperature that it's running, and I took the lid off for a second, but I have the temperature set typically at 99.5, and it will fluctuate typically between 99 and 100 degrees back and forth. That temperature seems to work well for me. We'll be setting the days right here, and it's a countdown, and then this right here is the humidity percentage. It's good, nice to keep it around 50% or more humidity. I don't really worry about that for the first, 18, 19 days. There is actually a tray in the bottom of it that you can add water. But I find if you add water early, then the water gets kind of stagnant by the end of the 21 days. So I only add water the last 3 days. And the reason I do that is to soften the eggshell so that it's easier for the little chick to peck its way through it. So you can see there it's bumped up to 100. I will add the rest of the eggs, and I'll be right back. All right, now you can see I have added my eggs, and you can see I've got 25, which that's today's date. And I know from about 21 to 22 days from now, they should be hatching. And they're pretty regular, and they work pretty quickly. Now what happens here is you have a little motor right here, and it runs and makes these trays go back and forth. Let me get it from this angle. So the trays go back and forth to turn the eggs. I don't have to touch them again for 21 days. So I'll put the lid back on it. We'll let the temperature come up. And then what I'll be doing tomorrow, I'll set up my brooder. That's where when they hatch and they dry out, then I'll move them over to my brooder. And then I'll also talk about this homemade incubator that I used for several years. Hatched quite a few eggs, but it's really a pain in the ass, to tell you the truth. And when I open this up, I now realize why I stopped using it, because pretty sure it went haywire on me, and I lost all of my eggs. And so I went to this store-bought one, which is much easier, and I've had a much better success rate. So please like and subscribe. Follow me along as I hatch chickens and raise them and show you how to get eggs and take care of them as far as what works for me. And so we'll see you in the next video. Please like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And again, I'll see you in the next video.